All right, guys, welcome. Thanks for coming out tonight. Appreciate y'all coming out. It is Good Friday, so, it's a long weekend, all that kind of stuff like that. And we decided to still have youth and run it, but I wasn't sure who would show up or if anybody would show up because, it's a long weekend. But, hey, I love the fact that you guys are all here and we're hanging out and having fun, so thanks for being here. If you didn't already know, Easter is on Sunday. Yeah, and the reason why I'm going to say it again is because, actually, I'm going to toss these, Marvin. I'm going to toss these to you. Thank you. Easter is on Sunday, this Sunday, as in tomorrow is what? The day after that is? Sunday. Okay, Sunday. Okay, the 22nd. No, 17th. 17th, because today's the 15th. Wow, see, I don't even know. And the reason why I'm going to say it a few times is because generally we say the announcements probably, every single week. And we'll say an announcement for 3 weeks in a row, and yet somehow you guys have this incredible ability for that 5 to 10 minutes to just completely block out whatever's happening up here, because you'll somehow find me and ask me, hey, what is our event? What are we doing again? We've been only saying it for 3 weeks, but yet you somehow have no idea. So I'm going to say it again. Easter is? Sunday. Which is when? What is tomorrow? Saturday. And Saturday after that is? In 2 days, so 2 nights. So you're going to sleep tonight, you're going to sleep tomorrow night, and then Sunday. I really, really want to see every single one of you here. Okay, 9:30, but let's be real. Let's just not even talk about 9:30. None of y'all are showing up at 9:30, right? Unless you're serving. So let's just be real. It's going to be 11:30. So let's just talk about 11:30. I would love for all of you to be here at 11:30. I want you to invite your families. Bring your moms, your dads, your sibs, your cousins. J-Dads, bring all your cousins. We'll fill the entire church with all your cousins because there's a lot of them, right? But bring your families because I really believe that God will do something cool, but I also want to celebrate some of the cool projects that we're doing, and one of them we're going to show on Sunday because many of your friends were in it, where's Becky? She's around here somewhere. I better use the right term. Many of your peers were in it, okay? But not only were they in it, they also filmed it. They did a lot of the pre-work, the post-work, and so I want to make sure that you guys get a chance to celebrate that and see what that looks like. And it's pretty cool. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty proud of it. So I want you guys to be here. Invite your friends, invite your families. When? Sunday. Which is when? What's tomorrow? Saturday, the day after that. So at 11:30, I better see all y'all at 11:30. And when I say 11:30, I like not 12:30. Right, 11:30. So make sure you're here at 11:30, okay? And if you come at 9:30, man, I will literally buy you, a McDonald's breakfast sandwich. Really? If you show up at 9:30. You show up at 9:31, no breakfast sandwich. You get a wrapper, like the wrapper of the sandwich. You show up at 9:30, I will get you a breakfast sandwich. Bribery in church. Yes, we go to those lengths, okay? I'll have one of my peers go and buy it for you guys, okay? All right. Anyway, we've been in a series talking about grace and grace life, and we've been talking about what grace means. And last week we talked about learning to live with failure and how to allow God's grace to do a miracle in your life, but recognizing that sometimes you got to actually know when you lose something or when you fail or when you make mistakes, and allowing God to come into that spot, do a miracle, and then out of obedience, we pick back up our lives and we pick back up our purpose and we keep moving forward. And this week, I want to continue in our conversation on learning to live with grace and talk about what it means to be real friends. How many have problems in life? Anyone have a problem right now? Like you're dealing with, you're thinking about? Anybody? Put your hand up if you got a problem. Almost every single person in this room. Okay, big or small, everyone's got some sort of problem. How many of you would love to have real friends who can help you out with the real problems? Yeah. How many of you are those real friends that help out with the real problems? Some of you. Okay, good. So I want to actually explore what real friends look like and how the Bible actually defines it, because I think if we look at the true definition of real friends, some of us may actually put our hands down. I know I did. Because when I look at the picture that's painted on what real friends really look like, I'm not always this person. And so I want to be able to look back and think about how can I be the type of person. But in 1 John chapter 4, verse 10, it changes it a little bit. Is that scripture up there for me? Okay, so the understanding of friendship really starts here for me. It says in 1 John chapter 4, verse 10, it says, "This is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins." An atoning sacrifice means as a replacement sacrifice for you and me. Like we would be the sacrifice, we are replaced, and Jesus comes in the middle of that. But the real kicker and the real important love is that it's not that we love God, but that he first loved us, or that he loved us. Because many times in our lives, we think that, it's in our nature to think about when we talk about God or anything that we love, I love God. And I'm all for this. And, I got to do this and I got to do that. And I love Jesus. But we never really look at the fact that it's actually not even us. It's that God loved us first. Jesus loved us first. And it's quick to draw on the incredible understanding and nature of who God is, that it actually isn't on you, it's honestly on God. And he loves you first. He loves us first. So real friendship really starts at this place, understanding that God loved us first. He doesn't require us to love him and then he loves us. He's actually saying, I love you first. And out of that place, you love me, you accept me, you welcome me in. And it's so easy to think of ourselves first. I mean, anyone know what the word love languages is, or the phrase love languages? Anybody? Put your hand up if you do. All the Christians will put their hands up. Okay, we'll quickly define it because I want to share with everybody, but there's generally 5 love languages. Can somebody yell at me one of them? Whoa, we started way too quick here. Okay, Luis, what'd you say? Quality time's one of them. Who said the other one? Somebody said over here. Physical touch, that's another one. Okay? Brianna. Words of affirmation, so like encouragement, right? Dave. Acts of service, that's another one. Gifts, that's the other one. 5. So words of affirmation, physical touch, gifts, acts of service, quality time. You see how I struggled on quality time? Because that's literally not my love language at all, quality time. It's why it's not even exist, it doesn't exist on my spectrum. So we all generally have some sort of love language that we operate with. How many of you love gifts? Receiving gifts. How many of you like receiving a good gift? So generally when you love receiving a good gift, you tend to be good gift givers. You tend to think of ideas and stuff like that. So you know how I know this? Because last year, I'm going to pick on you for a second if that's cool. So last year, Rashawn, he, for Christmas, was it Christmas or my birthday? Or a little bit of both? The shirt. Christmas? Birthday. So last year, Rashawn went out of his way, got me a shirt that had the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda on it, right? But then on the back of it, and you like did graffiti, not graffiti, what did you do? You tie-dyed it or something with it? Bleach dyed it, right? And then you got your sister, because your writing's not that good, you got her to write out, what'd you get her to write out? Vision's not for sale, because that's something I always say. And so he did that, and he gifted it to me, and he gave it to me because he knows that I love gifts, but at the same time, because he's a gift person, he enjoyed giving gifts. So we tend to operate out of the love language that we need, that we require. And we tend to give out love from that place. How many of you, words of affirmations is your thing? Like you love to, when somebody tells you like you're awesome, you're amazing, you're incredible, like that's important to you. That fills you up. How many? A few of you. Generally, that tends to be the place that, Brianna, did you put your hand up for that one? Kinda. You know how I know that? Because you generally tend to text me words of affirmation things. Right? We tend to operate out of those places. We tend to operate out of the love languages that we generally want and need. How many of you are acts of service? You do things. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that for a lot of you, right? So we tend to, want to do those things, and when somebody does that for us, it's very awesome. So for me, very simple, like I would walk out and somebody like picked something up and like threw it away. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And they're like, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's just garbage on the floor, and I threw it out. And to me, that's a big deal because I love acts of service. That's how I serve. And that's how I love people. I do things for people. So when people do that, I feel appreciated and loved. But we tend to love in the way that we best receive love because that comes the most natural to us. And that's generally how we tend to operate. And though we have our love languages, sometimes when you're with people, you can find that it's kind of awkward because you don't really know what their love language is. So you don't tend to show love in their love language. So me and Abby are the worst people ever. Here's why. Because John's love languages are gifts and acts of service. Okay? That's it, really. So, like, when people say nice things to me, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, thanks. Like, oh, John, you're so amazing, you're so awesome. I'm like, all right, cool. And I walk away, and they feel, like, totally, like, let down. Like, they're like, I just said this incredible thing, you didn't even acknowledge it. And I'm like, because I don't care, right? And then quality time, like, I just don't like hanging out with anybody. I just like hanging out by myself. And then, what's the other one? Words of affirmation? Oh, no, that's not the other one. What's the other one? Physical touch. Yeah, I'm zero physical touch. Zero. And Abby is all physical touch, quality time, and what do you think the third one is? Words of affirmation. So when you're getting to know someone, you're building this friendship, and you're just getting to know somebody, when you operate out of the love languages that you receive, we think of ourselves first, it starts to frustrate the other person because, like, I'm such an elaborate gift giver. Like, I'll think of this great idea. Like, when I proposed to Abby, like, it was massive. Like, I put her on an amazing race. I made her go get her nails done. I had somebody, like, I remember she had seen this watch that she really liked, so I bought it, and then I gave it to somebody. I'm like, bump into her at the mall, right? Drop it on the floor and just keep walking. She'll pick it up, and then she'll see her name at the bottom. She'll open it, and she'll see the watch, and, like, there'll be a clue in it, and then she'll find her way to the location that we're at, and there'll be a giant flash mob there, right? And they'll dance to the song that she loves, and then I'll throw fireworks at the Toronto skyline, and then pop, I'll bring that ring out. All I got was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. Thank you, yes. That's all I got. I wanted her to talk about how awesome this was and blah, 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 right? Because that's my love language. But when I asked her, I'm like, how would you have wanted me to propose to you? She's like, spend the whole day with me. And at the end of the day, just propose to me. I would have loved that. And I'm just like, that's so simple and, like, not at all cool. But we tend to operate out of our love languages first because we're selfish. We think that that's how people want to receive love. And though Abby's is physical touch, I would say that giving somebody a foot rub is probably not anybody's favorite thing, is it? Who are the physical touch people here? There's a few of you here, right? Would you want to give somebody a foot rub, physical touch people? Any of you? I didn't say back rub, I said foot rub. Oh, really? Who wants a foot rub tonight? Xavier, Anthony, Michael, and Jimmy. So there's a huge lineup for you. So we'll get them to take their shoes and socks off, and they'll do that. And we all have feet, and so this is a familiar issue to us, and they're an incredible part of the human body. You know, we need it to walk and do things and gets us from one place to other. But I would say it's, you know, foot is just not one of the most attractive parts of our body. You know, where it's a functional thing, it's not a thing of beauty. I mean, Becky, who did you tell me to pick on? Michael, come up here. Hey, you got voluntold, come up here, man. And if you have an issue with this, you take it up with Bubbles over there, okay? Come up right up on the stage for me, okay? Do me a favor, if you're cool with it, because I have to say if you're cool with it, but I would hope you would do it. Just take your shoes off for me, if you don't mind. Thank you. Show everyone your lovely feet. You just lift one up if you can. Now, if you don't mind, can you take your sock off as well? Would that be okay? You comfortable with that? Good job, Bubbles. He really did do it. Okay? All right, perfect. Now, Mohammed, do you mind coming up and giving him a foot rub?
Sit down. I'll do it. What do you want us to do?
So Michael's like, I'm not sure about this. No, the problem is y'all are too comfortable with each other, so I'm not going to let you go through with this. But just hop on down for a second, okay? I know you were ready, but do you want to come and do it? Do you want to give? Yeah, I'm looking at you. Do you want to give Michael a foot rub? You sure? Tina, you said your physical touch is your love language. You sure? That was a lovely foot. It needs a little sun, but it was a lovely foot. It's got a little sweat, he said. You sure? Anybody else? Who is over here, physical touch? Would you like to give a foot rub? Kabir, you put your hand up. Would you like to give him a foot rub? The problem is you actually would think, you would do something crazy like that. That's the problem. That's my problem. But no one, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, man. You know, later on, you know, just don't do it privately because that would just look weird. So make sure you have some accountability on that, okay? Many times, most of you, there's obviously a few, the term is not wacko, but I'm sure there's a nicer term to use that. But there are a few people who would really enjoy giving a foot rub, but I'd say most of us are not about that, yes? Yeah, I'd say most of us are not about that. And that is something that is incredible because I see this really cool story in the Bible about friendship and feet all at the same time. And Jesus really uses the feet to teach us one of the greatest truths about love and friendship and how we can really develop real friendships. So I actually want to read that for you. Some of you might know this story, some of you might not. But let me read it for you. But before you put it up, GP, this is one of the last encounters that Jesus has with his crew. So Jesus has these guys called disciples. So if, entourage, posse, the squad, whatever term you want to use, right? He's got this group of guys that he's been with for about three years, and he's been doing everything with these guys. Everything for 3 years. They know each other in and out in their lives. They do ministry together, they serve people, they help people, they love each other, they care for each other, they live together, they do everything together for 3 years. And this is one of his last meals and encounters that he has with them because he knows that he has to go to the cross. This is why we celebrate Good Friday. He knew that my day to sacrifice my life for humanity is coming. And so he's having this meal with them. And here's what he says on one of his very last encounters to his people. He says, in John chapter 13, verses 3 to 17, it says, Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal. He took off his outer clothing and wrapped a towel around his waist. And after that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with a towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? Jesus replied, you do not realize now what I'm doing, but later you will understand. No, said Peter, you shall not wash my feet. And Jesus answered, unless I wash you, you have no part with me. Then, Lord, Peter replied, not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well. And Jesus answered, those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean, and you are clean, though not every one of you is. For he knew that he was going to be betrayed, and that was why he had said not everyone was clean. And when he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. Do you understand what I have done for you? He asked them. You call me teacher and Lord, and rightfully so, but that is what I am. And now that I am your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you should also wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, no messenger is greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them. So right off the bat, on the very opening verse of this, we kind of see Jesus' state of mind, and before he takes on the task of washing his disciples' feet. See, Jesus knew that God had all things under his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So Jesus was fully aware that, yes, he was a man, he was here on earth, but he was also fully God. God had given him the power, and that he was here to do an assignment. He was here to be sacrificed for our sins, for our mistakes, and that at some point he would return to his Father in heaven. So he's fully aware. I need you to understand this. He's fully aware that he is God and he is man at the same time. Which means he has all the power, he is perfect, he has not sinned, he has not made a single mistake. He literally is part of who God is because he is God, he has the power. This is who Jesus is, and he's fully aware of it. So right off the bat, we see that. And yet, he quietly gets up from the table, takes off his clothes, wraps a towel around him, and begins to wash his feet. And I really don't think that John, who wrote this story, kind of threw this in there in an irrelevant way. And I don't think it was random. He was really drawing to attention that Jesus knew his position, he knew his calling, he knew his importance, and yet he did not use his title or authority. He chose to use the towel. See, real friends choose a title, not a towel. Or choose towel, not a title. Wow, did I mess that one up? Real friends choose a towel, not a title. See, many times, like I said, we tend to come to friendships with each other, our families, all that stuff like that with our wants and our needs. We tend to come into it like how we love and how we want to receive love, so we tend to show love that way. But real friendship, real love actually starts with the towel and not the title. See, Jesus knew who he was and the power he possessed, and yet he stripped down all the things that made him who he was, and he took off his clothes, and he removed the persona of power and position. He chose to serve his disciples, the people close to him, by doing something useful for them. Here's why this is incredible, real friends. It's because this is literally how I live my life. I live my life this way because this is how Jesus operated. This is how he built real friendships. This is how he communicated who he was and how he got buy-in with his disciples, because he chose to really love and be real friends. And the truth is, Jesus is on display for us here, showing us true love, and true love serves. True love says, I'm going to take a sacrifice of my time, my energy, my needs, my wants, the way I receive love, to do something for somebody else. See, many times I just told you what my top 2 love languages were. But some of you are just like, but John, you always hang out with everybody. You're doing this. You give us hugs. You give us high fives. You're always constantly talking to us. You say words of encouragement. You always build me up. I hear all these things, and none of these things are my love languages, but they're yours. Because real love, real friendship serves with the towel, not the title. I could just say, well, I'm just the youth pastor. My job is to come up here, share a good word, hang out, see you later, goodbye. My job is not to take your text messages. Now I'm putting some of you on blast here. I understand that. Just be okay with it. But my job is not to take your text messages at 9:30 on Thursday night telling me you need a ride for Friday. Or waiting till Friday at 4 o'clock saying, John, I need a ride. Can you come pick me up? If I was using my title, I would just say, well, that's up to you, my friend. If you get here, you get here. It's not my job to come pick you up. That would be title talking. And sometimes in our friendships, we tend to talk from title of friendship. If our friend says, I need this, it's like, whoa. That's no. That's going to cost me something. That's going to cost me too much. I can't do that for you. I can't come hang out with you. I can't help you. Oh, you need help moving? Nah, I can't, man. I'm too busy. I can't give you an hour. Oh, you need to talk to me? No. I got family. I got this. I can't do any of that for you. Sometimes we tend to go with our title of who we are, who we think we are. We're very important. We got this. I'm very, very busy. I don't have time for this and that. I can't do this and this. But real love, real friendship serves with the towel, not the title. And many times when you guys ask me, I need this, I need that, what are usually my answers for all of you? I do it, right? Generally, I do it for you guys. Or I find a way to do it for you if it's not me. I don't just say, you're on your own, figure it out. Because real love serves with the towel, not the title, doing what is necessary. And notice that Jesus performed a necessary job with humility. And in this day and age, feet were the main mode of transportation. Feet in leather sandals or on dirty, dusty roads got people where they needed to go. So it's like spending an entire summer in your flip-flops. And that's all you did. You walked around with your dirty flip-flops and didn't wash your feet. Right? Are you sure you really want, after an entire summer of him just in flip-flops and he didn't wash his feet ever, are you sure? You sure? There would be some warts on there, some green slime on there, definitely some cut up skin and all that stuff like that. You sure? Anyone else want to do that? Nobody. I didn't think so. You're a special human being. Maybe you should come up here and teach this one. You see, Jesus in this day was, looking at the landscape of it and doing something that was reserved, quite honestly, for servants. In fact, most households had servants that were there with the bowl, and when people would walk in, they would take off their sandals or whatever, and they would sit there and they would wash their feet so they can enter the home. To me, it was really weird when I was living in America. I don't know if most of you know this, but I lived in Arizona for about 3 years. And of course, I'm Canadian, so what do you think I do when I walk into somebody's house? Take out my shoes. And it was super weird for a lot of my friends. They were almost disgusted, whoa, why are you bringing your feet into my house? They're like, no, put your feet back in your shoes, right? I don't need to see those things. I don't need to smell those things. Just put them back in your shoes, right? And you can come in my house. Right? So we have a different kind of like understanding of what this is. And in Bible times, people's feet were so dirty that literally every household had to have a servant that would wash their feet as they entered. So Jesus, knowing this, knowing he was fully God, the Son of God, he humbled himself to the place of a house servant to wash dirt road from the feet of a disciple. I'm fully a youth pastor, but I humble myself enough to be your Uber driver sometimes. I humble myself enough to be Uber Eats even more. That's like a lower position on the scale, I think. I humble myself enough to be your tutor sometimes, or your listener, or your counselor, or whatever you want to call that, therapist for some of you that need the therapy. And yes, I'll be billing you my bills. I humble myself enough to do those things because I have to do what's necessary, because real friendship, real love serves with the towel, not the title. I can't look and just say, okay, let me pull out my fancy job description of what a youth pastor looks like, and I will only do what those things are. Oh, you need help with that? Like, no, sorry. Like, you need moving help? Like, I'm not a mover. I can't do that. You know, I'm a youth pastor. I'm only here supposed to write my sermons and preach it to you guys. That's my job as a youth pastor. And if I use my title, I think a lot of you would say, John's not my friend, right? John doesn't have my back. Real friendship, real love serves with a towel and not a title. And more so, and this is where it's going to really cut deep for some of y'all when you're trying to determine are you a real friend or not. See, Jesus washed the feet of his enemies. See, one of his disciples was Judas. And if you know the story of Jesus and his disciples, Judas was the guy that betrayed Jesus and got him put on the cross. Judas literally sold Jesus out for 30 pieces of silver. But yet, in this story, we actually know and we see that Jesus already knew that Judas was going to do it, because he already said, like, some of you guys are clean, but some of you are not. He already knew that Judas was going to betray him, but yet, the incredible thing is he washed his enemies' feet. Now, how many of you would do that for your enemies? For the people who gossip behind your back. For the people who act kind to your face but say all the mean crap behind it. For the one person who said they would do that and then broke your promise or offended you. For the person who said that racist thing to you. How many of us would really, really be real friends even to our enemies? And that's a really, really challenging thing. What necessary thing needs to be done in our lives, in the lives of our friends, our coworkers, our neighbors? What needs need to be met where we're not entrapped by the excuse of busyness and what is important? How can we actually pick up the towel and serve somebody else? Because when we choose to serve, we're doing more than just extending help to somebody. We're actually serving something completely bigger, which leads into the second thing. Real friends see the bigger picture. Real love and real friends see the bigger picture. In verse 6, it says, he came to Simon Peter, who said to him, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? And Jesus replied, you do not realize now what I'm doing, but later on you will understand. See, I love reading this because sometimes we have this idea, and then Peter kept saying, like, you know what? If you're going to wash my feet, wash my entire body. You know, and sometimes we come to this idea that, you know, when we come to know God or know Jesus, it's like, oh, I got to be perfect. I got to be perfect. I can't have any, like, things on me. You know, when I come to church or I come to youth, like, John's got to see me, like, perfect. Like, he can't know that I fought somebody this week. He can't know that, you know, I gossiped about this person. He can't know that, you know, I backstabbed my best friend. He can't know that, you know, I cussed out my mom or dad. He can't know that I fight with my siblings. I can't know any of this, so I got to come in perfect. And many times you want to be clean from the top down. But what's really cool is Jesus trying to display love in a very humble action. He's trying to show that there's a bigger picture at play. You don't need to wash something that's already clean. We're just focusing on what's dirty. And many times we try to get ourselves clean together so we can present ourselves in a full picture. And Jesus is looking at it very unconcerned at Peter, because Peter's really concerned. He's like, if you got to wash my feet, you got to wash entire parts of us. And oftentimes we concentrate on cleaning ourselves up before we fully let Jesus into our lives. And Jesus is saying like, hey man, let me just help you deal with one thing at a time. So when we're real friends, when we're working together with each other, we start to open up our parts of who we are to let God and Jesus in to actually deal with those things. Because we stop thinking about just ourselves and we start looking at the bigger picture. See, many times when I serve you guys, I do it because I'm really believing the big picture. I'm really believing that God will do something in your lives, that as you open up and you allow yourselves to be served and you allow yourselves to trust and open up and say like, whoa, this guy really, really like serves me. This guy does everything I ask. Like he doesn't say no. Like he may troll me for it, but he doesn't say no. So all of a sudden you start to trust. And when you open up that window of trust, God's looking at the dirty feet saying like, let me wash that for you. Let me take care of this area that you've been hiding away. Because God's looking at the big picture, and real friends, real love sees the bigger picture. See, when I look at every single one of you, I look at the big picture. I don't look at, come on Friday night, let's just hang out, and that's it. Like, I just want a bunch of people here. No. I serve, I do the pickups, I do all the things that I do because I'm looking at the big picture. Real friends, real love sees the bigger picture, which is when we serve and when we give of ourselves and we pick up the towel and not the title, it allows the other person to be able to see, hey, this is the area of my life that's dirty. And I need Jesus to wash it. I need him to clean it. And we give ourselves the opportunity to trust somebody with that stuff. How many of you really, really wish you had that one person that you could really trust with everything? I'm talking about everything. I'm not talking about like, I'll give 10% here to this person, 5% to this person, 20% here, 30% here, so that nobody really knows who I am. How hard is it to keep that up for long? I think deep down, all of us wish we had that one person that we could say, man, if I can just be real with this person and know that they'll never judge me, they'll never tear me down, they will love me, they'll look me in the eye and accept me for who I am, then I could trust them. I could actually deal with the stuff that's going on in my life. I think deep down, every single one of us is looking for that person, aren't we? And God's really looking at us, trying to challenge us to be like, can you be real friends to your friends? Can you be the person that is the secret keeper rather than the gossiper, rather than hearing something and then automatically going off and telling somebody else? Or can you be the person that says, when somebody comes and tells you and opens their mouth and says something that they are absolutely ashamed of, and they had the audacity to say it out loud, and you kind of go, oh, you did that? Oh my gosh, you said that word? You did what to who? And we sometimes do that because we're like, oh, I would never do that. So I can't believe you did that. But imagine if we would just look at a person, hear their absolute crap, and still like look them in the eye and say, oh, I hear you. I appreciate it. Thank you for trusting me. We're still friends. Like nothing changes between the way I see you. How many would love a person like that? I know I would. I would love a person like that. And that's what Jesus is calling us to. And that's what he's explaining to Peter in verse 10. He says, those who have had a bath need only wash their feet, but their whole body is clean, and you are clean. And Jesus said to Peter, I've already washed you. Your imperfections have already been cleansed. I'm the bath to your dirtiness so that you can be clean. And that's the big picture of who Jesus is. He was willing to sacrifice for them. He's willing to come in and serve them so that they could see the bigger picture. And as real friends, sometimes we got to decide, are we willing to sacrifice so that my friends can see the bigger picture? My enemies can see the big picture. Even with my own friends that are my age, I have to serve them, even the ones who are not Christian, because I want them to see the bigger picture. I want them to be able to say, like, John, I don't get you. Like, you got kids, you got other things you're doing. Like, how do you have time for me? How do you have time to hear me out? How do you have time to help me? How do you have time to do this? Why are you making time for me? because I want them to see the bigger picture. I want them to know that they are loved, that they are cared for, that Jesus loves them, that he would come in and wash their feet and take care of their dirtiness. And the last thing is that when real friends see the bigger picture, real friends serve the bigger picture. See, Jesus finishes his time with the disciples by asking them, do you understand what I have done for you? And when he finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. He said, do you understand what I've done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and rightfully so, for that is who I am. Now that your Lord and teacher, I am your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another. See, the bigger picture is seeing and recognizing that I got the opportunity to have the towel and serve other people, but it's actually going out and doing it for others and meeting the needs and extending ourselves and being like Jesus and making the sacrifice. Sometimes it's your friends looking at you and just saying, I lost a family member. I lost somebody in my home. And looking and just saying, like, oh, that sucks. I'll pray for you, and just keep moving on with life. I got a TikTok video to make, or I got, tickets to the Raptor game and I got to go to it. Sometimes it's being willing to say, like, I got to pause and say, where are you at? How can I help you? What can I do to help you? Sometimes it's just somebody just having an incredibly rough week and just saying, I just need to talk. I just need somebody to talk to. Are you willing to give them some time? Or are you just willing to say, I'm busy this week. I'm so sorry. Maybe next week. Maybe it's somebody saying, hey, I just need somebody to hang out with. I just got to get out of my house. Can you hang out with me? I'll put this on a lot of you. Most of you ask to hang out. I say yes to y'all, but none of y'all come through. Or not none of y'all. Some of y'all don't come through. Because I leave it right out there in the open. I'm like, hey, let me know when you want to hang out. I'll rearrange my schedule. I'll make it work. I try to make myself available because love serves the bigger picture, because sometimes people need that. When somebody's struggling, they got a bad grade, they got a bad mark, and they just need encouragement. Are we just going to be like, you know what, whatever, they'll get over it. I had to get over it, so they'll get over it. And just keep doing what we do. See, real friends, real love serves the bigger picture. When crisis happens in the middle of family and you don't even know where to turn. See, real love stops and serves the bigger picture. It says, I know what I got to do for myself, but let me stop and serve. Let me stop and get in the middle of this. Let me stop and help. Let me stop and hear a person out. Let me stop and know what their love languages are. Encourage them if I need to. Buy them a gift if I need to. Spend time with them if I need to. Right? Give them a high five or a side hug, because I don't do full hugs because I'm awkward quality. I just don't like physical touch. So side hugs is what you'll get from me. Or sometimes I'll go like this on top of your head, if you haven't noticed that. Because that's what real love does. That's what real friends do. They find a way to serve to the best of their ability. And I'm not looking to be Superman. I'm not looking to be Jesus. I'm looking to just be me. But ultimately, I have to decide, am I going to be me and just function in my title and just say, like, you know what? I'm just the youth pastor. Like, if you guys show up, you show up. If you don't, you don't. Who cares? Like, my job is just to prepare it, and, like, I'll just speak. And if there's only 2 people, great. If there's 100, great. Or I can say, man, God's grace for me is so good. It's so undeserving. Now, how do I be real? How can I be a real friend with real love and extend that out to the people? Extend that out to others. How can I serve others the way they need to be served? Because that's the cool thing about who God is that he always loved us first. He's always loved us first. He never needed us to love him first. He loved us first. And then at the same time, he sends Jesus into the picture, because what's really cool about this story is literally as soon as they have this meal and they're done, Jesus is on his way to the cross to die for your sins, my mistakes, your mistakes. That's why we celebrate Good Friday. We acknowledge the work of what Jesus did on the cross, the unbelievable sacrifice that he took to pay for every one of your problems that you're experiencing today, for every struggle that you have today, for every mistake that you've made and every mistake that's been made against you. he went on that cross. He served us, and he went on that cross with the ultimate friendship goal. And then 3 days later rose again, defeating death, defeating sin, so that we can be in relationship with him. But how do we treat each other? How are we motivating each other? How are we stepping up? How are we helping each other? And I would love to tell you that I could just do this all day, every day for every single one of you, but I'm just one human being. I can't do it all. I really can't. I really wish I could though, but I can't. But where are you at with that in your life? And when you look at your the course of your life, are you serving out of what you need first and what you think you need, so you're just going to give that back out to people? Are you looking at the landscape and saying, let me serve from the towel, from the place of lowliness where Jesus went to? Let me get to that spot. Let me look at the disgusting foot of somebody's life, and let me be a real friend, so that ultimately Jesus can actually be the servant that cleans that. And so can we have grace for each other, grace for ourselves, grace for each other, to help each other in times of need, to step up and not just use the excuse. See, this is why I love our leaders. And some of y'all are rude, man, by the way. I have to call some of y'all out. Y'all are rude. When some of the leaders text you guys and check in on you, you don't answer back. Come on. That's the ultimate disrespect. Come on. You can be a real friend too. You can just answer the message back. Like, it doesn't really cost you that much. You're really not that busy. I love every single one of you. None of you are that busy to answer a text message or Snapchat or Instagram or whatever it is that you're using. Right? Some of our leaders here are so incredibly following this model. Did you know? I'm going to put him on blast. Everyone look at Dave right there for a second. Sorry, Dave. Sorry. Dave, do you drive? You do not drive. You don't have a vehicle, right? How far do you live? Downtown. Roughly 40 minutes drive. One way. How often are you asking me for a ride? Sundays, but on a Friday night, you've never asked me for a ride here or home. Dave, who does not have to be here, by the way, because he's not a student. In fact, he's making his way here to serve you. Pays his own money, because I don't think I've ever actually paid you for your fares. Sits on the subway, train, bus, whatever. It takes about an hour and a half to get here, one way. And an hour and a half back. And probably longer, actually, because it's like 11:30 midnight by the time you get back. He's never asked me for a dime. He's never said to me, like, this is too much. He's never looked at me and complained to me when you guys don't respond to his messages. Said, oh, these guys don't deserve it. Because real love serves with the towel and not the title. And Dave's been here for, I don't know, from the very start, really, almost. That's and I could go on and on, by the way, about all your leaders here. I really could. I am only a very small part on what makes this work. Like, Becky does not have to run homework club. Some of y'all are really rude, by the way. You need help, and the girl, sorry, I didn't mean to refer you as a girl, but she's out there giving her time for y'all. So you could step up, and when you need the help, go to her and just be like, hey, let me make some time. Show up at 5:45. Don't be lazy and come in at 7 o'clock saying, I still need help. Yeah, I know I'm calling some of y'all out. That's okay. You're in high school. You'll get over it. Because I'm challenging you. I really am challenging your need to be at the center of it all. And move out of the way. Let Jesus be the center of it all, because he created you. And start allowing real friends into your life, and start being real friends back. Because that's for all of you, by the way. You think that this is only me that operates this way? No, it's for all of us. As Christ followers, this is who he's calling us to be. He said it right to the disciples, all right, I did it for you. Now it's your turn. Step up. Do it. So he saves you He gives you life, and now he's calling every single one of you up to the standard. And that's what I really love, is that we can do this together. And sometimes it's in big ways, sometimes it's in small ways. And honestly, I could call so many of you out in really good ways. And I know I pick on him a lot, so I'm actually gonna swap it and do a good thing, okay? Marvin, last week, I texted him, I'm like, bro, I absolutely love these off-white blazers that are dropping. Like, I think it was Friday, and I texted you on Thursday. And I'm like, man, these things are absolute killer. I would love to own a pair of these. But he's the resale guy. He's the sneaker guy. So any custom stuff, he's the one who's going to be able to have access to it. And I'm like, but I don't want to pay resale price, right? I know that the price is $180. I know that if it gets out, it's going to be like $300. I don't want to pay that. I'm like, can you help me, like, find a pair? You know what Marvin could have done? He could have been like, okay, this is my price. Here's how much it's going to cost, right? And I'll get it for you if you pay me my price for my work. Instead, before I could even, like, figure out if I fully for sure wanted them, I just said, I really love these. I would love to own them. Marvin had already bought it with his own money, paid it, and said, like, it's in the mail. It's going to be here in like 2 days. And then when I gave him the money, I found out later that he actually paid more than what I was giving, because I paid him the retail price and you paid a little bit more because you had to work with somebody else or something like that, right? And when I tried to give him more, he's like, no, I'm good. Don't worry about it. I'm just happy to do it. See, I know that's so small, but I'm a gifts guy. Remember that, right? That to me was huge. That's real friends going out of the way to do something that he didn't actually have to do. And I was willing to pay for his time and pay him, I'm like, yo, the guy's trying to make money. I'm willing to let him make some money. But he's like, nah, I'm good. I was just happy to do it. In fact, he was so excited to get into my hands, right? Like on Monday, he calls me like, yo, they came in early, like come get him. I'm like, yo, I can't even come till Tuesday. And he's like, no, I can't do Tuesday because I have, what is it, football, right? I had football. Soccer, he had soccer. She said, I can't even do Tuesday. And I'm like, dang, I definitely want to have him. And yet he still calls me on Tuesday. He's like, listen, I got a window of time that I'm going to get home. If you get there in that window of time, man, I'll get it to you. Like, he didn't have to do any of that. He's making zero money on this. In fact, he lost money. I think he lost, what, $10 on this? Something like that? Lost $10 on this, and he won't let me pay him. But he's willing to do all of that because that's what real friendship does. And I felt loved, I felt respected. And when we start to do these things for each other in small ways even, just small ways, you start to figure out who that person is, what their love languages are, and we start to serve each other in those ways, start to get to know somebody. The reason why I know most of your love languages is because I've gotten to know you. I'm willing to give my time to get to know you, so then I know how to serve you better. And if we're willing to do that in small ways for each other, and not just use the busyness of our lives as an excuse, man, I'm telling you, you can change the world. You can change the world. Because no amount of money, no amount of clout, no amount of gear, no amount of education is ever going to satisfy that need to feel loved, to be respected, to be known that you matter, to have somebody look you in the eye and tell you that you matter. And because you have a relationship with them, you really believe them. Like, there's really no satisfaction out there. Nothing. There's nothing out there. Why don't you bow your heads with me? Jesus, I thank you, God, for who you are, Lord. I thank you, God, that you challenge us, and your word is always on time. It's in season. It's right when we need it, Lord. And I thank you, God, that your grace is not only sufficient for us, it's just everything we ever need in all seasons of our life, Lord.